literally, it could, like you said, it could be put up in 30 minutes, and it could be put up on Wednesday before the fair and taken down Monday afterwards.
A week before.
A week before.
The other thing that people are starting to do is they're starting to put a panel, a 24-footer, because it's got legs, and sometimes they put a 12 or a 24-foot sucker on in between. That's a way cheaper situation.
Or a 12-footer.
A 12-footer works, you don't have to have no pipe or nothing, but that really stretches things out.
I understand the need for a temporary fence during the fair, especially when you have cherry races. And the main thing is I like the idea of trying to get some panels, because that's going to look a lot better than an orange snow fence out there along the highway. It's an eyesore as soon as you drive to the fairgrounds. You got this big orange snow fence, and they aren't pretty. You know, I mean, will it stop a horse anyway?
The biggest problem would be to find them, but I'd get the word out for, just say we're looking for people to donate for that week or whatever.
You know, another thing you could do, Nathan Johnson builds panels, and he builds lots of them. And he may put them up there
To sell.
May sell them, but I mean, you can
By the
sell
end
these
of the
things
fair.
at an auction sale faster than you can anywhere. They bring more than what they sell at the place.
Brian, you're on the fair board, take care of that.
They could get sold right up at the auction where the cattle get sold.
Or right where
Or whatever, I mean, there's angles.
Yeah, I know, they know what they are.
Yeah.
They could sell them because the auctioneer and everybody's at the fairground.
They're up there, yeah.
Where they're doing the
Or when
4-H beef
when we
auction.
give you a haircut, we'll sell them.
No.
Okay, let's move along here. Good.
We don't have anything else. Going nowhere.
Yeah,
Thank you, guys.
One other quick thing, you know, the old horse barn up there, is there a plan with that?
We don't have a plan other than Brian having some interest in somebody taking it out of there possibly. So for us, we agree with the commissioners as a whole to like take it down or move it out or whatever. So we don't want to stick money, I mean, obviously it can be saved, anything can, but you better start with a new foundation or something to support it in the first place and then go from there. And
Totally understand that. The sheriff's department, you probably heard this earlier, where are they storing stuff at?
not in that building.
Okay, stop.
Nothing in there.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you for your time.
You bet.
Good report, you guys.
Thank you,
I'm trying to
guys.
get back to Ann and ask about that licensing.
Yeah, and then I will let you know what transpires with this if they may vote to extend the opportunity for you to take care of that prior weekend during the all school, and you can keep the money. I'll let you know.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Me?
Where are we at, Brent?
Well, you guys don't mind if I have Huey come up here?
Sure.
Okay, Huey, come on up and grab a chair.
You're the guest speaker, the way it looks.
Yep. So, as you guys know, Huey is retiring from the county here on March 31st. And this is the gentleman that has spearheaded everything at the fairgrounds as far as, this is the guy that I've leaned on, and even Mel 6 years ago that leaned on, that kind of, when it comes to the fair, this guy calls the shots out there. So this is the guy that would like to mow the fairgrounds and take care of the fairgrounds this summer. And I guess the big question is this what you want?
We've already discussed this.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Pretty sure we have.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this job is Huey's. And then what kind of compensation are we talking? And you know, one question that Huey and I have talked about is that when he retires, you know, there'll be a limited amount of money that he can make per month. And obviously, May and June, he may go over that limit with his hours.
We should probably not the concept of this, but need to pump the brakes, because PERS is going to require that you be retired for 30 days before you accept a position, particularly one that is a PERS
Related entity.
Okay.
And if you offer this position today, they don't have to pay your PERS from Bismarck.
Oh.
And it's no different with a teacher retiring from a position and being hired back in a part-time role.
Yeah.
You have to be really careful here. because I don't want you to not get your PERS, because then what did you retire for? And even if it shows up on, September or whatever, by rights, if you retire at the end of this month, you should get your first payment from PERS on April 1st, or whatever the first business day is that month. So you have to be really, really careful here. And I learned this the hard way by trying to hire back a part-time teacher who retired. And TFFR reached out to me and said, "You sure you want to do this?"
So what you're saying is he could resign at the end of the month, we could table this till.
He's gonna have to be retired for 30 days before he can accept the position.
We can hire him on the 2nd of May.
On the 2nd of May.
Correct. And
Or a
so
part-time position. That's a technicality.
And then his pay would go into his PERS also then,
And that give
correct?
us time, because
No.
No.
Or no,
No.
he would be able to collect his PERS April and it wouldn't affect it.
And it won't affect his employment, but, when you come back, or if you come back as a part-time employee or as a contract, it could be a contracted employee where you just make X amount of dollars, like we do with snow removal.
Yep.
That type of thing. There will be no benefits on that, so you're not paying into PERS at that particular point in time, but I don't want to screw up your retirement here.
Yeah, I don't want to either.
It won't
Lawnmowing
matter.
ain't that important, is it?
The Social Security part will hinge on the amount of dollars that you
Right.
make. This won't do anything with your Social Security, but it will screw up your PERS if this group does anything before the 30 days following.
very good point, Dan. Just to
And
refresh my memory though, was it the fair board that was gonna hire him, we were gonna help pay for it?
I think it was decided at the meeting that we are in charge of grounds, and being we are in
Okay.
charge of grounds, that we would pay, we would pay, correct?
Okay.
So, just so I'm clear on everything, so realistically, Huey could start out at the fairgrounds May 2nd, May 3rd, okay? If there has to be some mowing that has to be done at the end of April, weather permitting, we could go out as a road department and just keep things half
Yeah.
decent.
Right.
And realistically, on May 2nd or May 3rd, then Huey could become a contracted or part-time employee that wouldn't affect his retirement, wouldn't affect PERS, and he could basically take care of the fairgrounds May, June, July, August till freedom. Am I correct on that?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And then you hire him as a private contractor, or? I prefer that.
That's a decision you have to make, and what's the difference, okay?
The difference is you
As a
have to
private
withhold.
contractor, you pay out. As a employee, you pay out, but you also have to deal with things like,
Social Security, right?
correct, Social Security, but also, insurance reserve as an
Workman's-
employee, workman's comp,
all
things of
that
that
stuff.
nature. So,
Which way would you like to have it? Contracted out?
Whatever's the best, I don't know much about all that.
and
We're-
if, for example, how you get hurt or burned by this, if you contract for a certain amount like we do with snow removal. Snow removal doesn't happen, you don't get paid. Okay, there really is no job. How much precip we get is gonna determine how many hours he probably works, right?
Gonna mow.
So, you really gotta think about this, what's the best path forward? You have to think about what the best path forward is, and we've got time to consider
Time,
this.
yeah.
And let's.
Well, I look at it this way, like, from the past, that, even like starting May, I had a place looking beautiful, plenty of time. That's when the grass grows a lot, even part of July, then after that it kind of dries up. It's no problem waiting until May to start cleaning up out there. It's getting it, once you get it caught up, where in the past we've done it, it might be weeks before we can do it because we're doing other stuff. But then we get out there and the weeds are all grown up. You gotta start the weed whacking all over, and I have all the time in the world, and I love doing that work. So, yeah, I want to get paid for it, but I'm not greedy where it's got to be so much. I don't want to screw myself up, or let it lack off because my hours are up, something like that. I really don't care.
Have you reached out to Social Security to find out what you can earn? I don't know.
I'm waiting on my final papers, but the pre-estimate was like 1950 to 2,000 a month. I could still make, where it doesn't affect my Social Security. But I just looked today before I come down, and they haven't got the final thing filled out that I can look at yet.
I could ask 5 or 6 people here that same question, and they might
Yeah.
know it.
Also, yeah, would it be fair that when Huey turns in his resignation stuff, that you guys work together on what's best going forward on the compensation?
Well, we need to decide probably if he wants to be an independent contractor, or if you want to hire him by the hour and withhold all that
That is
stuff.
a May commission meeting.
Yeah, I don't think we can do that.
When you approve it, yeah.
Because if you decide it before then, I have a feeling that
We
if
gotta do it in May.
they wanted to, they'd reach out for your minutes. And
Well, we wouldn't specifically do it for him. We can decide that now for that position.
Oh.
Can't be Huey, because that can't be till May. But we can wait till May.
Yeah.
I would say
We just know that it's something that at the May meeting, it's gotta be a priority and we gotta get it taken
Right.
care of.
Yep.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say, is
Yeah.
between the two of them, we could work out what's gonna work the best.
If I get paid, I get paid. That's what I.
Well, you're gonna get
Stuff
paid.
that-
It's just a matter
If I
of
talk
how.
to county, I don't need all that stuff to happen.
Perfect.
We want you to do the job.
So, and you do a great job out
Yeah.
there, this is a good.
But not till May.
Not till
It's
May.
okay with me, 'cause I don't think April, you never know how it's gonna be, so why not?
Yeah, true.
We could have snow halfway through April.
Yeah.
We just don't know. All right, I just wanted to get the ball rolling on it because we're approaching it, and like I said, Huey will be done on March 31st.
And then, one last thing, thanks for all your years of service here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bet. Thank you, we appreciate it.
I think our habit, and I'm gonna just make sure you're verbally announcing your retirement.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
You have
I
to
guess
turn a paper into Dan.
Right,
I
right.
would- If you'll accept the verbal along with the thanks.
I'll make a motion that we approve the resignation and also appreciative thanks for all the many years you have served the county. You have served the county.
Very good, motion
I'll
made
second.
by Stan, second by Boone. I ditto all that, that's great. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Hearing no other discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
So you don't need to turn anything into Dan.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
You're done.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Huey. See you in a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't have much, and I know Stan always giggles when I say that. I don't even have a piece of paper in front of me.
That doesn't matter.
To all you guys that don't know, some of you know, the transmission went out in the county pickup. So the one that we bought in 2020 is sitting at Drive Chevrolet. Had 107,000 miles on it. I was heading over to Cathay a week ago Monday, and I had the cruise set at 66, and all of a sudden I started losing speed, and I couldn't figure out why. I thought the cruise kicked off. Stepped on the gas, and I had nothing. It idled up. I parked it on the side of the highway. I figured, I got reverse, so back onto the gravel road. I didn't have to reverse. So I pushed onto a gravel road and called Drive Chevy. They have ordered a transmission for it. It's a $5,600 transmission. There is another Chevy pickup sitting right beside it that needs a transmission. So the transmission is supposed to come in today, and I expect to have it back at the end of the week. This transmission comes with a 3-year, 100,000 mile warranty on it. So if you've noticed, I've been driving my personal pickup for the past week. I'm paying for the own gas. I just drive it back and forth to work. I've been pretty lucky to be able to drive the county pickup back and forth to work. So if you're wondering why, that's why. The transmission is supposed to be in today. Drive Chevy is not very busy. And as long as the transmission, it's coming from Lansing, Michigan. As long as it gets here in time, I expect to have the pickup back by Friday. Okay?
That was out of warranty?
That was out of warranty. Yeah.
Of course.
And I went in and I spoke to the guys at Chevy and I said, what's the deal with these transmissions? Because I've heard some negative things. I said, is there a problem or is there not? Well, there's not a recall on the transmissions, but there is a service alert. And like he says, you see the pickup sitting beside you? And I said, yeah. He says, that needs a transmission too. And that one's got 8,000 miles more than yours. So anyway, just so you are aware of that. I've made Dan aware of it the day that it happened. And so Louts, Corey came over and towed it in and took it to Drive Chevy for us. And that's where it's been sitting. As far as everything yesterday, I stayed out to the festival hall till almost 5 o'clock.
What?
I locked up the doors at 5:15. I had a lot of people come up to me afterwards.
Oh, really?
Most of them were very good conversations. There were some negative ones there. And then I returned some phone calls last evening from calls that I had missed. I had a couple supervisors calling me as we were sitting in the meeting that were also sitting in the meeting. Phone was beeping in my pocket. So I reached out. I talked to Dan a little bit before the meeting. I would say general consensus from what I've heard, and I've heard from a lot of townships already, I would say probably, in my opinion, 24 out of the 36 don't mind the $100 a month, but there are maybe 2 handfuls of guys that say, I don't know how we're going to pay it, and I don't get this, and it is what it is, but I did meet with quite a few supervisors after the meeting yesterday. I won't say they were all pleasant conversations, but there was no yelling, and for the most part, we just talked. Brian stayed around for a while with me. There were some ideas brought up, and there were some accusations, and but nothing too serious.
I agree, for the most part it went good, but unbelievable, you get all the information out, Dan went through it, we've all talked about it. There's people that still thought it was $100 per blading.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you blade.
Every time you
Yeah,
play.
you ran into that, yeah.
You said something about people had trouble hearing, you said?
Yeah.
They had trouble hearing in the
In the
back.
back?
Yep.
Oh man, I thought that, to be honest with you, granted we were sitting up front, I thought the mic was too loud.
Me too.
But in the back,
And I'm deaf.
in the back though, I had that comment that several people called me, and one of them was about this $100 per time. And then his son called me, and they go, wait a minute, if you're only charging $100 a mile once a year, you guys aren't charging enough, because that ain't gonna be very much money.
I had
That switch there,
yeah. I had supervisors call me last night and said, $100 a mile, $3,500 a year for you guys to blade our roads, that's nothing. And they looked at it like, that's that's really, when you think about it, it's $3,500, they go, that's like us graveling a half mile less every year.
Well, and I thought Stan did a really good job explaining that money they're getting is for gravel maintenance and blading.
Mm-hmm.
That 10 grand they're gonna get.
Yeah,
Very dog.
I mean, that covers two full years for sure of the full, even if it's 40 miles, there's $8,000 in 2 years, they're getting 10 from Prairie Dog.
Right. Over and above what they
But
never have gotten
anyway,
before.
anyway, to put a wrap on this, let's hope, and it was expressed several times, that when they have their meetings to discuss this, give us their thoughts, their plan. We talked about this earlier. If they got roads that they don't want bladed much, and they have ones that let's work that out.
I talked to a lot, and I said, the big thing is we need maps.
Yep.
But
I thought Dale did a really good job of explaining that. And Dan, you weren't there, but the 3 things I instilled, and Dale did too, at these township meetings now, and because he's going to get the stuff.
Oh yeah.
We would like a dollar figure, that $100. What should it be next year? 0, 200, 300? That they should come up with? Any other suggestions in which we can save money or enhance revenues? 2, and that map that Dale did a good job of explaining. You take a map of your townships, you color in what you want bladed more, what you want bladed less.
First, second, and third.
I thought that was explained very well, but some people didn't get that, or?
Well, no, the issue that worries myself and the blade operators is in what I feel is going to happen, and from the conversations I had, out there and even early last evening, is that what we're gonna see is we're gonna see them say, listen, we want our secondary roads, our roads, and Brian and I addressed this a little bit, we only want these roads bladed 3 times a year. If we just use 6 as a number, they would like to see a lot of these guys would like to see their secondaries bladed 3 times a year and their main roads bladed 9 times a year to make 6, okay? And the one thing that worries me and that I was very adamant about telling these townships are, a lot of these secondary roads do not have adequate gravel, number 1. Number 2, in July, in August and September, for lack of a better term, when we're blading these secondary roads, we're driving a $400,000 lawnmower keeping vegetation down.
We talked about that.
And they need to be aware that when they skip these roads and they only blade them 3 times a year, that they can expect a grass stripe down the center, and they can expect these secondary roads to look like they're getting narrower, even because of the weed and the vegetation on the sides. And the one thing that they can do to combat that is it is very, very important that they mow twice a year, that they do that July and that October mowing. And there are a lot of townships that only mow in October. And these secondary roads, when they don't mow in the middle of the summer, the weeds will be 5 feet high.
But Brent, here's the idea, and we talked about this. In fact, remember a while back we talked to Leon
About spraying.
about making a sprayer.
Making a band sprayer.
We brought that up yesterday
And
too,
you know
Brian
what?
and I did.
We could run down those roads lickety-split a lot faster than blading anything and spray the dang things with Roundup and do the shoulder.
Yep.
But it needs to be a specifically small band sprayer, because when we had those meetings last summer, we suggested spraying, and everybody always said, "Oh, it drifts," and
Yeah,
you know, you
that was
can't
the
go out
one
there
thing
with
that was
a
brought up
spray
with Brian
coupe.
and I sitting there is trip.
Like you said, well, you guys know spraying, but if you have the hood and stuff where you just cover that shoulder,
That 4 feet
there.
or whatever you wanna do.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll get Leon on that. He's
I
talked
really
about
think
having a
let's
plan
go
and all that.
direction.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, as far as everything went, our blade guys are ready to get their maps, and we'll get those maps, I would guess, by after they have all their meetings in March.
Right.
And so overall, it was all right.
We should reach out, not to interrupt, but we
Nope.
should reach out. There were 6 townships that weren't there.
Mhm.
We should somehow, if you could reach out to them, Dan, and
Well,
relay.
I think I only picked up 5.
Well, somebody
Paperwork.
took one to give to
Yeah.
them.
Yep.
Okay, well, I don't know what township that would be.
That was
And then
Sykes then.
I am mailing out
Water board guys are in there.
I'm mailing out those 5.
You're welcome to sit here, though.
Yeah, you don't want to kick them out, but
And I do have a call from Joseph Richter, and maybe is that the township that's
Yeah.
missing?
I got a message from him also, and so yeah, he's the one.
I call him after we're done here,
Yeah,
I told him,
yeah,
so.
And I actually had a couple townships call early this morning. So, other than that, I know yesterday, and I talked to you guys, so we will no longer have Huey as of March 31st. I am 90% sure we will also lose Sean at some point this month. No, he hasn't turned his 2 weeks in, but I expect it in a non-official capacity. He has told me that he's going to try to finish out March. So we will be down on April 1st to Corey and I in the road department and 8 blade guys. So we're gonna fight through it, and we can discuss it at April meeting as to which direction we're going to go. We'll find to see what exactly Sean's final answer is, but for the most part, it's not official, but we're going to lose him. So we'll go from there on that.
yeah. Brent, let me interrupt 1 minute here. Number 8 was the township officers meeting review, which we pretty much started here. Let's just finish that. Does anybody else have anything to add to that while Brent's here?
Yeah, I guess I am hoping to find out some details of the
Okay,
conversation.
probably the best way is to ask what is there anything specific you would want to know about that happened?
Well, I just kinda wanna know where the discussion went, in all honesty.
Weiss and Nelson talked about appropriations, talked about the gas tax, and that it passed the House rather convincingly, but the Senate will be a tougher sell, because there's just a lot of city, Fargo Grand Forks has a lot of clout, so they reached out to everybody in the room saying, contact people, and that will bring some revenue in.
Is not 1/3 of that 1 cent of the 3 specifically for townships, the way it's passed?
This is a good news, bad news thing in that 3 cents isn't very much. On the other hand,
Actually,
none of that goes
Actually,
to,
it accounts for quite a few dollars. I mean,
no, but none of it goes to the DOT. A penny goes to townships, 2 pennies go to the counties.
Counties and cities, yeah.
Counties and cities,
Yeah.
right, which is a good thing.
Which would, the way it sounded, it would amount to about $100,000+ for our county.
Yeah,
That doesn't sound like enough.
I thought I
Did
said
it?
it was like 76,000 was the estimate.
I think the number they used was 107,000.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, 107.
And I will say that when they sent out those estimates in the first day alone, I think I got 4 different spreadsheets, and they said, don't look at the last one, look at this one. So I
know.
think there was some,
It's gonna be wrangled with a lot in the Senate.
The other one suggestion, when we had questions and answers, somebody wanted road ditch cutting October 1st instead of October 15th. We gave them the pat answer, say, yeah, we'll think about it. We can decide that when the time comes. We didn't really have a lot of other questions.
But,
did we?
being that got brought up, we should discuss
Yeah.
that quick. Here's the argument against it. A lot of guys are probably right in the middle of harvesting. That's their argument. And as far as trying to shut down and go mow ditches, you guys are out there. What do you?
Well, I had several conversations about it last evening. In fact, I got a phone call about it again last night. This is from just one of the farmers, and the main question that I got was, why did it get moved back to the 15th? Remember, and you said, well, I think it was to allow you guys more time to get your ditches mowed.
Right.
And what I got about it is that with where Wells County and central North Dakota stands, the lull for the farmers, for the most part, is at the end of September.
Yeah.
Because usually you got soybeans that start in the beginning of October, and then so they were looking at it, let's get out and get our ditches mowed at the end of September, so when we get into soybean harvest, we don't have to stop on the 14th because we forgot to mow ditches. Well, the logic to that is you should have just mowed them anyway on the 30th.
You can mow them ahead of
Yeah,
time.
you don't need a deadline to mow your ditches.
Right, exactly.
I think that got brought up yesterday.
Yeah.
You can go and mow them.
Yeah.
I would say a majority are cut by October.
And
Yeah.
I repeat this, and you could probably reinforce, I don't think our county's got a real big problem, do we?
Areas.
It's areas, correct. The one thing that our blade guys have noticed and I've noticed is that as the farmers and farms have gotten bigger, they're farming further and further away from home. And when it was a bunch of little farms, everybody took care of their ditches, number one. Number two, there was a lot of these ditches that were being hayed and now they're not. So where we noticed the problem is from some of the bigger farmers that are farming 20 miles from their home, and they don't do the quality of mowing 20 miles away as they do. They don't, I think sometimes they forget that other people in that area depend on that road. So you'll see a lot better mowing jobs closer to home as you will further out. But yeah, the rotary mowers, guys have really, I will say it, have really improved. We've been pushing rotary mowers and going the right direction and all the grass laying in the road, and it has drastically improved. But there still are quite a few townships that are having to fight to get guys to mow their ditches.
Presents?
But Dennis, to make it long answer short, I think it has improved, but it still needs work.
So I don't know, I don't know consensus, but I think probably just leave it alone.
I'd leave it alone too.
So we're gotta get moving here. You got anything else?
Unless, what do you got, anything that you guys have for me?
Any other thing you want to question about on the township thing? I guess basically we
There was a couple complaints, but, there were, I won't mention names, but there was a couple complaints about, I want a contract of how many times my road's gonna get bladed. There was another complaint.
Yeah,
The one question, and I talked to Dan about this, was